Let's have you all sit up nice and tall, get a good feeling of balance on the seat of your chair. And also a connection down through your legs and into your feet, especially if you did join me in doing any of the ball rolling under your feet. You might have a little bit more of a feeling of connection through the soles of your feet, and that can maybe help you feel those lower legs and feet making the connection into the surface beneath them. Sitting up nice and tall, long length of spine. Let's get right on into some shoulder rolls and the flow of your breath. Coming around in a comfortable range of motion. And then let's take a pause sometime here soon and go in the reverse direction. Excellent. And then taking a pause, let the shoulders somewhat relax, shake out through your arms, all the way out through your hands. And then let's get into alternate arm curls. And then I want you to be focusing on the arm that's extending just as much as the arm that's curling. So as you extend, I want you to also reach through your fingertips towards the floor. So you're curling on one side and extending through the other. Tony. Those few lights just dimmed down on their own. Okay, there it goes. Okay. Should be interesting lighting, huh? Few more of these and go to full extension each side. And then let's curl both arms up and in. Bring the arms and so your hands are out in front of you just a little bit more. And let's extend, stretch out through all the fingers, in and out, in and out. And if it's not painful, maybe go a little bit faster, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And now real slow, we're gonna stretch out through the fingers as much as you can. And then make just a light fist coming in. And we can even go to double arm curls as you make these fists. And full extensions going out. Very good. Few more times. And then again, let's go to full extension. Full extension at the elbows, wrists, and fingers, stretching straight down towards the floor in front of you. Now with that full extension, now shrug your shoulders up by your ears. Take a full inhalation, and then exhale. Let things relax and let go. And again, shrug up, shrug up, shrug up with your inhalation. Exhale. Let it all go. A couple more times. Inhale. Exhale. You're welcome to hold your shrugs longer if that's what you like or need. Otherwise, just really let them go on this next exhalation. All the way. Very good. Back down to the lower legs, feet. Let's move the toes around a little bit more and then plant the toes to lift your heels. Lift your toes, move them around. Plant and lift your heels. Going back and forth like this a few more times. Excellent. And now let's try alternating. Lift one side toes up, the other side heel up, and keep alternating. Good. Really feeling those lower leg muscles, the joints through the ankle, the feet, the toes, getting lots of movement and warming up. Now let's plant from your heels all the way through the rest of your feet to the toes, grounding back into the floor. And once again, sitting up nice and tall. Placing your hands on the sides of your chair, giving yourself a little extra stability to start some rocking, shifting back and forth. Toning through the deep core, your abdominals for sure, but not so much that you're not able to breathe your nice, full, and complete breaths. Couple more times. And of course, you can always use this maneuver to scooch yourself a little further forward on the seat of your chair, giving you a little more room to work with behind you. So when you are ready, really balance out through the hips and the sits bones once again. Feel an equal balance down on both sides. You might even want to replant your feet. If you've come forward a good bit on the seat of your chair, you might realign so that your ankles are once again lined up right below your knee joints. And then coming back upright, sitting tall. Another good bit of toning through your deep core, and with that, let's lengthen forward and up and a little bit back. So feeling a comfortable range of motion where you're trying to stay very straight and solid from your hip joints and through the entire length of your spine, up and out through your crown. The further that you rock back, the more you're going to have to tone, but also the more that compression could come into the back, and that might be painful. If you're feeling any hint of that, then don't go as far back. Make it more subtle. Awesome. Couple more times. Very good. If you want a little extra challenge on this last one, you might lean back with all that strength and tone and length. You might want to reach your arms out in front to kind of counterbalance there. Don't forget to breathe. And then come upright, sitting nice and tall, full and complete breaths. I just kind of automatically did a few little chair dips. If you have a way that you can position your hands on the seat of your chair, that works, to do a little push down and then a rising back on up. As you lower down, you're still keeping a good sense of tone throughout your deep core and making sure that we're not getting too much strain or pressure into your wrists or shoulders. And then finally, we'll lower back down, nice and slow. Take a few deep belly breaths now, please. Feel expansion come around through these abdominals. Deeply inhaling and allowing those muscles that we were just engaging to stretch out a bit more. Also, right now, we're really exercising our diaphragm, a very important muscle that is a primary mover of our breath through the respiratory system. So we want to exercise that as with all muscles of the body. If you don't use it, you lose it. So taking these deep, full breaths, engaging just a little bit in the abdominals to kind of help expel the air out and contract that diaphragm muscle to lift upward. But what's so cool about this is that you know your breath can happen even without even focusing on it or thinking about it. This diaphragm is designed to work on its own without you having to think about it. But like I said, it is a muscle and it can atrophy. It can become a bit rigid with disuse. So taking the deep, full breaths is a very, very good thing. And now let's take a few full breaths and let's get back into, let's go into an arm reach. So I want you to reach through your right arm, finding extension that feels comfortable for you, which may be supported in some way, or it may have a very different angle out from your shoulder joint. So explore that, take at least a few full breaths. And then when you found a good bit of extension, place your left hand on the side of your chair for a little bit more support and just try leaning into your right hip just a bit. So you're stretching out through your right arm from the shoulder, you're leaning into your right hip. That might be bringing more of this side body stretch through. Make it comfortable for your body. Take another full breath. And then rebalance through your hips and your sits bones, so you got a long length of spine. Take a deep, full inhalation. Let's go all the way down with the arm here. Keep drawing your sound out as long as you can as the arm relaxes on down. Just gonna take a feel through your right side body and settle into a comfortable position. I'm gonna, what am I doing here? Swallowing and inhaling consciously a few times here, and then we'll start to explore through your left arm and shoulder, finding extension. What degree of extension or angle, what degree of support might be needed as you explore what's best for you on this side of your body. And that's just for today, because it may be different today than it was when you did this last time. So we'll keep on being mindful in the process and honor what our body is telling us. And then when you found a good angle of extension through your left shoulder, place your right hand on the side of your chair, give a little bit more stability there, and then lean a little bit more into your left hip. So you're leaning that way, you're reaching up through the left arm from the shoulder as is comfortable. And again, you might be feeling a little bit more of the side body stretch and taking full, complete breaths. Good. And now as we lower this left arm of yours down slowly, let's go right on into an E sound going all the way down. So you might lick your lips first. Get ready to really peel those lips back. Take a full inhalation. E. Balance out your hips and your sits bones even as you complete your sounding all the way out and down. So as the arm relaxes down, you elongate through the spine, and now take some natural breaths and swallow intentionally a few times. Very good. Just kind of feel through your left side now what might feel different. Back to either your alternate heel lifts down here with those feet, or marching steps if you feel ready. Picking up the feet even just a little bit off of the floor. It doesn't have to be a really high lift, but your body will work harder if you do decide to come up a little higher with the knees, or why not go into some stomping, a little harder stomping, waking up those nerve endings, shaking things up all the way down through the lower legs, ankles, and feet. And of course, getting increased blood flow really through the whole body as we amp this up. Now I'm going to slow mine down just a little bit more and try those alternate arm curls with the marching legs. And if you can slow it down enough, maybe you can even extend a little more length through the shoulders, elbows, and full complete breaths. Oh yeah, we have a train. I forgot. The space right behind us here is lovely, and there's a train tracks there. I think you might even be able to see it going by. I can see it, and we can hear it too. Well, let's just hope that doesn't happen during the relaxation, huh? See, we didn't know about the train. That was something that didn't occur to us. Whatever happens, we can make it work. One thing we know after this past year, we are adaptable. We can adjust and adapt to whatever life throws our way, right? Okay, planting the feet, sitting up nice and tall. Maybe dip or scoot yourself a little further forward on the seat of your chair, if you can. And then with that, sitting tall, ankles lined up below your knees, let's guide both knees a little bit outward, and then coming back to parallel. Inhale as you open out. Exhale as you come together. We did this with our large fit ball, I think a couple times over the last few weeks, where instead of focusing on the outward rotation as we are now, getting a stretch here, we would actually be focusing a little bit more on the inward squeezing of the fit ball, and so more of a stabilizer. Here we're working a little bit more on mobility. So external rotation and internal rotation, not at the knees, not at all at the knees or the ankles, but at the hips. So if you want to get a little bit more of a stretch this time, open the knees out to the sides and hold it there as you sit tall, and take a few more full, complete breaths. Beautiful. And then come back to parallel with the legs, plant your feet. Sitting tall, let's pick up your right leg. Give it some support, maybe a little bit of clearance off the chair so that you can extend out as much as you can through your right knee, and then curl and tuck it in up and underneath. Now we're going through a range of motion at the knee that is comfortable and doable for you. We are engaging the thigh muscles that make this action happen, extension and flexion at the knee. We can also add in a flex and a point through the foot and the ankle. But if you have the little fit ball here, it may not be a full range of motion, but it might be worth trying, because maybe you can start with your leg extended with the heel resting on the ball, and then roll the ball as far as in underneath you as you can. So this way you're getting extension and flexion at the knee. You're also kind of rolling through the foot to some extent, especially if you can come all the way to your tippy toes here, and that your leg is somewhat supported by the ball. So another way of using that could help with this warm-up process. And then let's go for full extension. So if you have the fit ball, or the little ball, you can go to full extension with your heel resting on the ball and the toes flexed. You could also have maybe another prop, such as your bolster or a block, or if you still have the strength to hold up your leg there, go to full extension, flex through the sole of the foot, and then when you're done, you can bend the knee and plant your foot on down. Sitting nice and tall, a few full and complete breaths. And before we go right on over to your other side, let's do another sound of getting the vocal cords and the face muscles a little bit more exercised and prepared to project and be heard out in the world. So why don't we go back to our right arm reach. So finding that extension that feels right for you, full and complete. And we'll go right on to the I sound as we lower this arm down slowly. So start with a full inhalation. I keep going all the way through and down, where you will take your swallowing and natural full breaths coming through. I, for one, am really looking forward to hearing some of these vocalizations come from more of you actually in the room here with me sometime this month. The vocalizing so far we've been able to do, I can see you vocalizing, but I can't hear you because we're all muted, so we don't interrupt the sound or our audio. But it'll be really fun to bring some of our voices together, at least, in the weeks ahead. So let's try the left arm extension. Feel that comfortable reach, whatever feels right to you. And then we'll do an E, let's see, we're going to the O sound as we lower this arm down. So take a full inhalation. O. All the way down and through as long as you can. And return, natural flow of breath, and swallow intentionally. Remember, try at least 2 or even 3 times in a row to really exercise that swallowing mechanism. So crucial for our health and well-being. Okay, let's go to our left side leg, giving it some support, either with your hands under the thigh, where you'll be extending and bending to your fullest extent, comfortable. Don't be surprised if it starts with maybe a much more subtle or tight range of motion and then can gradually increase. And yes, those of you that have the little ball, you can also explore that possibility of starting with the extension way out there with the ball, the heel on top of the ball, and then roll it in as close to you as you can to your tippy toes and back out again. Another way of working that extension and flexion, and also getting some more movement through the foot and even the toes. So let's do a few more your style extension, maybe even a good flex to the foot as well. Awesome. And then holding your extension, whether it's elevated out there in front of you or more down low, maybe supported by a prop that's down there under your heel. Real good full extension at the knee without hyperextension. Excellent. And then when you feel complete on that side, you can bend the knee and plant your foot back on down. I'm just going to roll that ball under here so it's not in our way. And sitting up nice and tall. We've got another vowel sound. The last one in the series is U, and really accentuating all the different aspects of the U. So you're going to make different shapes with your lips and also activate the chin and the jaw in some interesting ways. And if both shoulders are happy with extension and reach, then why don't we try both of them as we reach up nice and high. And a full inhalation. Here we go. You all the way through. Keep drawing yours out longer if you can. Relax, breathe, and swallow intentionally. Well done. Back to some full body, upper body, lower body coordination movement. Let's start with alternate heel lifts. And you can go into arm reaches or swings, but they're very controlled swings. So as you are lifting one heel from the floor, your opposite arm is extending forward. The other arm is reaching back as far as you can. Now we're keeping this one pretty slow and controlled because I also want us to incorporate a little upper body, upper torso rotation. So As you reach your arm forward next time, your opposite heel is lifting, and I also want you to turn your head that direction of the side that your heel is lifting and the arm that's reaching back. And then slowly shift right on through, so your opposite heel lifts, other arm extends forward, other arm extends back, rotate your head that direction. So slow and controlled, arm swings or reaches, opposite heel lifting, and head turning. So a bit of a novel movement, a lot going on there. And of course you can always make this shorter lever if your shoulders need that little extra support or if the arms are getting tired. One more time, turning and lifting your heel away from the floor, and then let's square off back to center. Shake out the arms, the hands, the fingers, and again, some rolling through your shoulders. That might feel really good. Awesome. All right, back to some deep core strengthening. Let's go back to, well, make sure your feet are well planted to the floor, okay? And then you're gonna rock slowly back and forth. You can keep with this, and you can even kind of support yourself more if needed, or you can also add in those arm curls as you lengthen up and back, and full extension coming forward and down. Inhale. Well, actually, this would be a good time to exhale, truthfully, because you're engaging your abdominals, and then you can relax those a little bit as you lean forward and extend, take a full inhalation. See how that might work for you. A couple more times. Good. Wonderful. And last one, maybe even holding it back. Only if you feel comfortable, you can still breathe, and there's no pain or pressure anywhere in your body. Just strength and tone, without a doubt. And then we'll sit up nice and tall. Full complete breaths, balancing out the hips and the sits bones. And then let's try some pelvic tilting. So you might place your hands on your pelvic crests here to feel that tilt, even if it's very subtle for you. Tilting back, you're gonna round your back body a little bit more. Coming up and forward, tilting forward, you're gonna really open up your belly and front body here, exaggerating the curvature of your back, your lumbar spine especially. You can incorporate the upper torso, your rib cage, and your shoulders, or the thoracic spine, from the mid-spine up to the neck. And that would be arms kind of rolling forward or reaching forward as you tilt your pelvis back, coming up and maybe sliding your hands up your thighs, drawing your shoulders back, squeezing your shoulder blades together to really open and broaden your chest as you tilt your pelvis forward. Let's play with this for just a few more times, moving along with your breath. So let's try exhaling as you tilt your pelvis back and round into what we call the cat stretch. Inhale as you tilt your pelvis forward, draw the hands back, or at least the shoulders back, maybe even lifting your chin. That's the cow stretch that we call it in our more Western yoga exercises. But really it's more biomechanically, it's this spinal flexion and extension, which we know is very, very nurturing and nourishing and healing for the spine, all of its supportive connective tissues, and as the nervous system as well that runs through it. So lots of good stuff there. Neutral pelvis now. Neutral pelvis, your sits bones are pointing straight down into the chair beneath you, allowing you to have the most elongation up through your spine as possible. I'd like you to maintain that lovely length, your central channel staying nice and stationary, so you're not hunching or rounding off to one side or the other. You're staying nice and tall and just gradually rotating around that central channel. Your head can turn along with it, shoulders, chest. It's just kind of letting the arms either swirl around you very subtly and gently, or if you want, you can reach out wide. Or if you have furniture around you you need to clear, bend at the elbows, keep broad across the chest and shoulders. Breathe, and let's rotate around to each side one more time. Internal stabilizers helping you out And then coming back to center, inhale and exhale, lower those arms right on down. We'll just do a little bit of focus for the neck here for a few moments. Let's do chin tilt in and up. So you're gonna try to like tuck your chin into the notch of your collarbones up here. So you're bringing more length and stretch to the back of the neck here. Then lengthen back on up. Now, not just tilting the head back, but lifting the chin strongly to get a little length and opening through the front of the neck. Also, let's exercise the eyes, the eyebrows, looking up, and then tucking back in and towards the notch of the collarbones with your chin. Doing that a few more times. Feel free to pause and hold either of these positions longer as you feel that is beneficial for you, whether you tend to be very, very tight in the back of your neck. Holding that for a few more breaths, or if you want that little extra expansion, reach length through here, strength and stability through the back of the neck, and then activating those facial muscles to lift your eyebrows, lift your eyes, open gaze, and of course mindful blinking. And then tucking the chin down and in is what I like to do, at least for my final movement through here, so I get that extra bit of stretch to the back of the neck, and then re-lengthen up, straight up through the spine, out through the crown of your head. Shaking your arms on out to your sides, and then let's bring the palms together. Line up all your fingers and your thumbs as close together as they can be, helping each other stretch out fully, lengthen out fully. Do a little side-to-side movement with these hands through the wrists. Again, nice, slow and controlled mobility exercise here. One hand and wrist helping the other one out. And then let's point those fingertips straight up towards the ceiling and bring the thumbs in close, maybe even touching your sternum. We'll go through a few rounds of Robin's breath here next. Start with a full inhalation fully through the length of your spine. Exhale, reach forward, maybe even tuck your chin down and in. Inhale, open wide apart, look up. Lift your eyebrows, look right, look left. Exhale, come forward, tuck your chin, soften your eyes. Lengthen up through your spine as you inhale and bring your hands back into your heart center. Beautiful. So now we're gonna reach the arms forward one more time, but instead of going through the full round of Robin's breath, we're gonna open wide with an inhalation. And this time, as you come back forward, cross your right arm over top of the left to any degree that you can. And then again, open out really wide, inhale, exhale. This time your left arm crosses over the right. And inhale, opening wide. So I want you to continue moving with your breath, but if it's feeling pretty good through your shoulders and everything, maybe you can even wrap your arms around you as you cross one over the other and just kind of reach lightly around you, giving yourself a brief little hug, and then inhale, back out wide once again. One more time, you're crossing the right over the left. And one more time, crossing the left over the right. And now this time we're gonna hold it. So reach around, right arm over top of the left. Make it comfortable for you to be here in some way with your right arm on top of the left. So if your arms are down lower for your shoulders, that's fine too. Whatever you feel you can do, but just try to let the shoulders and arms relax as much as they can. And if they can't be very relaxed like this, then go ahead and just put your hands down on your thighs. Either way, we're gonna let the shoulders balance out, long length of spine up through the crown of your head as you inhale, and as you exhale, tilt your left ear over towards your left shoulder. Take a few breaths. This is a great time to practice mindful blinking as you kind of look around as your head is tilted a different way. This could help you exercise your eyes and bring in the visual field here. You can also tuck your chin down and in closer to your upper body. I might suggest kind of tracing your collarbone with your chin from the center up a little more towards your left shoulder, if that feels okay. Good. And get yourself ready to lengthen back up through your spine. Inhale, up, up, up through the full length of your spine. Exhale, inhale, reaching out wide with the arms. Once again, stretch out, stretch open, inhale, and then exhale, come forward, crossing your left arm over top of the right this time. Search around for a way that you could be comfortable here. Maybe your arms are lower, higher. There might be creatively supporting yourself here. Just try to make it work for you comfortably, and if it can't be that, then just let your hands rest on your thighs. Full complete breaths up through the length of your spine, out through the crown of your head, and as you exhale now, let's tilt your right ear over towards your right shoulder. Relax a little bit, breathe. And of course, feel free to explore some different options, like tracing your chin from more of the center and up your right collarbone towards the shoulder. That could be one interesting option here. Or just tilting the head off to the side, little micro movements, or staying still as you breathe and working eye movements like mindful blinking and gazing around at different points of the space that is in your visual field over there. Good. Get yourself ready to elongate back up through your spine with an inhalation, up, 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 and out, all the way through the crown. And then exhale here in a next inhalation, reaching forward, open out wide, stretch out really wide. Exhale, come on down, relax the arms, relax the shoulders. Back into either alternate heel lifts or marching steps. So whatever works best for you, and yes, maybe bringing in upper body along with this in some way. Tone through your deep core, especially if you're going to lift your knees higher or go faster or stomp harder with your feet down. Any of those, we want to be a little extra stabilized, but might as well work that really good engagement whenever we're doing anything fairly athletic. And I definitely consider this exercise athletic. You know, if you've done it enough like we have in here, it can definitely get you amped up. Blood flowing, heat, definitely getting heated up through the body. So we'll do just a little bit more if you've got that in you. And when you feel ready, plant those feet back on down. Relax as you ground down through the feet. Balance out through the hips and the pelvis, long length of spine, and out through the crown of your head. Full and complete breaths. Very good. We're going to keep kind of amping things up and working strength and stability just a little bit longer here. And this could be an area that, once again, your little weighted ball could be useful. Also, the block. The block could be a good replacement if you don't have the fit ball, or maybe you find it works out better. Let me show you first with the fit ball, or the little ball, I should call this. If you can comfortably reach it and bring it on up and wrap your hands around both sides, stretch your fingers out, might as well while you're with that, and bring it in to your navel center area. There we go, good. So navel center up to heart center, you can work in between these two places of centeredness and stability. But what we're gonna do is a little seated crunch, where you'll be pressing through the ball of your feet, both balls of the feet, and lifting your heels from the floor, rounding your spine, rounding your back like you're crunching in. Suck your belly button back towards your spine, and you're going to kind of round forward with that fit ball. Lengthen back up, lower your heels back down, stretch up, and if your shoulders don't mind, maybe even reach that ball up, so that it comes back to either heart center or navel center. I'm going to keep mine at the heart center. Lift the heels, round, crunch in, then lower the heels, lengthen the spine, and lift back up. So that's one option here as we do a little bit more of abdominal strengthening and spinal maneuvering. If you don't have the fit ball, or if this does not work for you, try with the block like we often have. Give it a little squeeze in between your knees, or I like mine just above my knees, right there at the lower thighs. And then you can just kind of pretend that you're holding on to something, maybe a couple handlebars up here around your shoulders or up by your ears, whatever works best for you. Similar kind of thing. Squeeze the block, lift your heels as you ground down through the balls of your feet, and then crunch inward. And then lower the heels as you lengthen the spine and come back up. And if you want to add in the arm reach, that's totally up to you and your shoulders. Optional, but can be a nice little added extension. Crunching in, lifting the heels, lower the heels, lengthen back up. Again, moving with your breath. You're going to exhale as you crunch, crunch, crunch in, and inhale as you lengthen back on up. So this is a seated crunch yoga style. What does that mean? Slow and controlled and very deliberate, and moving with your breath, and not feeling like you need to jerk or use momentum in any way. You're really using your body's positioning and very slow, deliberate movements that will really make your whole body work together to engage and strengthen, and then balance out the engagement with the opposite extension. So that's where the length of the spine comes in, and maybe even the reach of the arms. So let's do a couple more times, your style, crunching in and lengthening back out. And then I'll suggest ending the series by extension and length to your fullest extent that feels good. Lowering the arms down comfortably and placing whatever prop that you may have used off to the side. Well done, everyone. Awesome. Okay, so I think we're ready for a little more of a relaxing stretch. Forward fold. Seated forward fold is the first thing I would suggest. And so if you have a prop like a bolster, as many of you do, and by the way, those of you coming to the in-person class, we will have all these props here for you, everything you see here, so you don't need to bring any props. Certainly if you want to bring any favorite props, you're welcome to, but you don't have to. We will have these all here for you. So seated forward fold with a bolster supporting you, or if you don't have that or want that, you've got your arms or hands on your thighs, leaning forward, kind of propping yourself up, or possibly even draping your body over your thighs and letting your body relax into the forward fold like that. Now, of course, as I've mentioned many times before, the seated forward fold is just one of a number of options to get this kind of a stretch, and also the compression that we create, mostly kind of in the front body and the abdominals, you know, that there's also an added benefit to that as long as you can breathe. So if you find that you are getting into too much compression, that the breath is just very, very shallow, and you even feel like you're getting uncomfortable with that, then your job is to get your body into a little more of a supported position, upright just a slight bit more maybe, so that you can still take your full and complete breaths.
Jennifer, where are you?
I am right here. I see myself. Assistants, maybe one of you can help out to see if they can find me again somewhere. I believe I'm still here though.
Is it the medical center down?
Oh, you want to know the environment that I'm in? Ah, okay. Yes. I see. Yes, I am at the Center for Healthy Aging. This is the space that we'll be holding our in-person classes this month on Wednesdays. Isn't it beautiful?
Very spacious.
It's very spacious, so we've got room for a good, at least 10 or 12 of you to join us here. So the room around me, you know, goes in all directions here, so you're just seeing one component of it. So we're pretty excited about being able to use this space occasionally. In fact, we've got the month of August here on Wednesdays. And then in October, we'll also have another month or 4 weeks, I think in mid-October to mid-November. And then we're going to be back in here again for the month of January. We already are going forward into 2022 as long as COVID doesn't shut us down again. We will be using this room about every other month or so, about every 2 to 3 months for some in-person class events. Not always on Wednesday. I know for the next one in October, it's going to be on a Friday from 12:45 to 2:15. Again, it'll be live streamed like you're seeing us right now, live streamed, and also in person, and they'll be on Fridays in ladder sessions here. We got all kinds of things in the works for you guys that are here in the northern Colorado region. But if you're not, or if you just don't want to or can't venture out, then we'll keep on doing our online classes every week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail, except for maybe Christmas Day or something like that. But otherwise, we will keep those online programs going with occasional opportunities to come and be in person and in a great place like this. Okay, coming out of your forward fold, let's make sure first your deep core is engaged. Feel that internal stability, stabilizing the low back, the spine, the back, as we come upright slowly and relax as your shoulders can either roll up and back and down, or if it feels good to reach up and out, reaching all the way through, take a full inhalation and exhale to slowly lower back on down. Okay. Warming up the feet just enough so that if you want to make a transition next that would take you down closer to the floor, we might start and do a few things with hands and knees, position on the floor, or as always, you can stay in your chair and everything can be simulated or modified, or you can always just do what really feels best for you if you decide to stay in the chair. So if you are going to transition, let's get the feet a little bit on the wider side and in a little bit closer to you on the chair, because if your feet are placed too far out in front, you will not be able to really get up out of the chair. So if you plan to get up out of the chair, make sure the feet are a little bit in and there is a wider stance, not too narrow, so that you have best stability possible. Come back to some chair dips to kind of feel where you are on the seat of your chair, remembering that even if you do choose to stay in your chair and not do this transition, doing just what this is here and the rocking motions are excellent ways of keeping your body toned and prepared to make a transition, whether it's getting in and out of bed in the morning or in and out of your lazy boy chair. These techniques will apply. So practicing along, if you want to continue with the steps of the transition, maybe your chair dip along with a deep core engagement will bring you into a chair pose squat, where you can hold and breathe and come back down to your chair with a lot of control. That's a really good one to practice. Why? Because not only having the strength and stability to come up and just hold this position, super, super, super important for our functionality and independence, but the ability to lower back down and take a seat again without falling into the chair, without plopping very hard. I want you to keep practicing that in a safe environment, because that, again, functional movement equals independence for as long as possible. So that's great things to practice. If you want to go all the way up to a standing position, first make sure that your foundation is really good and solid. Feet a little bit wide, knees stay a little bit bent, strong deep core, you know where your chair is. Maybe some of you also have another piece of furniture or a sturdy support prop close by, especially if you do come all the way up to standing, but then it's all the way back and down to your seat, slow and controlled. So options over, say, the next minute, I want you to continue with practicing any part of this important transition series, whether you're doing full stand-up sit-downs or half stand-up sit-downs or rocking in your chair or little chair dips. Any or all of those are very, very great ways of maintaining this ability and, again, functionality. Awesome. So you might by now feel pretty sure that either you're going to stay in your chair for the next portion of the class and modify from here, or you may be feeling like, okay, moving down towards the floor, perhaps first on hands and knees, utilizing your sturdy support props if you are going to be making this transition. I am now on a harder floor surface than I am when I'm in my living room, so I've got some great extra props here that I'm going to put down so that as I come down to my hands and knees position, my knees won't be screaming at me after I've been here for a few minutes. So hands and knees, or otherwise known as table pose. We've done certainly some seated cat-cows, but more, I think, is better when it comes to this particular exercise. So maybe some of the traditional kneeling cat-cows could be something worth spending some time with as you settle into your hands and knees position. Another one that can be working your shoulder strength and stability, also some deep core, is to stretch your body a little bit more forward like in a low plank. But then shifting the body back, so keep your hands where they are up there, but try to reach your hips back towards your heels. Not all the way back into a child's pose, but kind of close to it. So this is good shoulder stability, also a good extension. If it feels good, always remember your deep core engagement coming along with you with these. So if any of those are feeling good, or if your body is still enjoying being on hands and knees, stay here with me a little bit longer. Maybe the forward fold version of child's pose might feel fantastic to you at some point. Those of you in the chair, you've got your seated cat-cows, you've got a seated forward fold, lots of different options that you could be doing. Those of you still on the hands and knees position, let's take the next minute or so to do some version of a plank that agrees with you today. This could be as simple as a one-legged extension, stretching through the foot, holding for several breaths, and then switching over to your other side. You could also be doing a bird dog pose. I know some of you really appreciate that challenge of the bird dog pose. Or, of course, if there's a more traditional or favorite form of plank that you really enjoy, this is a great time to do just that. I think I will take just a few moments to breathe and get into a full traditional plank, because it's really the only strength training that I do. So I figure I should probably do a few more planks so I don't lose all my strength, especially in my upper body. So planks are where it's at as far as I'm concerned. And then coming out of it, or balancing it out if you've done a one-sided or asymmetrical version of your plank. And then whenever you feel ready over the next minute or so, making your way either onto your back on the floor, or if you're in the chair, I want you to be still sitting upright, and we're gonna go into a figure 4 pose. So if you're already seated in the chair, you know hopefully your best version of a figure 4 pose. Start to make your way into that, and of course always exploring what feels best. Making your way onto your back and then into figure 4 on the floor. So that would be reclining, feet planted on the floor, knees bent, obviously. And then you'll be picking up one foot at a time and opening the knee out to the side as you position. Say start with your right leg, outer right foot or ankle on the left thigh by the knee. And just like those of you seated in the chair, changing the angle, finding what's best for you here. Full and complete breaths. Those of you seated in the chair, if you want a little bit more of a stretch, you've got the option to either forward fold a little bit over your legs, or keep sitting up tall, and maybe you can kind of hug your leg or your knee more in towards your chest. Those of us on the floor, you may be just perfectly fine and not need to do anything more than what you're doing. If you do want to really increase the stretch though, the figure 4 supported with your left foot coming off the floor, both legs will be coming in closer to you, and you have your hands wrapped around behind your left thigh. Explore as you breathe just a bit more. Good. And then taking your time to ease out of the figure 4 on this side, whether that's placing your foot back down or lengthening back up through your spine, and placing both feet planted. Balance out, and then when you're ready, taking it to the other side. Foot out, or knee out, I should say, so your foot can come up. Only to that degree of comfort, though. Making the connection, if that's right for you, the outer left or right foot. Nope, left foot would be to your right knee area. Working the angle, changing it in or out more. Tuning into where you're getting the best stretch and what your joints might be telling you. And if you're getting any pain or strain in the knee joint or hip, then you know to make a change so you're not feeling that strain. Increasing the stretch sensation if you want to. If you're seated, forward folding a little bit. If you're lying on the back, maybe picking up your right foot, supporting with your hands behind your right thigh as you hug the legs in closer. Just be real careful and don't force anything as you might explore these deeper versions of the pose. And then after you feel plenty complete, then either lifting back up from your forward fold if you're seated, or placing your right foot back down to the floor if you're doing the reclined version, and uncrossing back to a symmetrical position, both feet planted. Let's take the next 2 or so minutes to move and stretch in any way that would feel really good to you. What would your body request if you just listened to it and gave it the freedom to move and stretch? It may be something that's expanding and lengthening through the body more. We haven't done a lot of this kind of thing in the class today, so some form of extension, either on one side at a time or both sides at the same time, or perhaps it's more of a hugging in or compression of the front body, which means a stretch for the back body. There's also the spinal twist. We haven't held a real relaxed or restorative version of spinal twist. So if you want to spiral, if you're on the floor like I am, arms out wide, keeping the backs of the shoulders on the floor, and then letting the legs draw over, I suggest to the left first. You can grab a prop, such as a bolster, or your little weighted ball even, or a block, to let the legs relax onto something as you take your full and complete breaths. Those of you seated in the chair, I think you know what your versions are if you choose to do a spinal twist, but really just listen to your body and let it do whatever it needs and wants to. And the thing with a spinal twist or any asymmetrical restorative pose, you want to kind of keep track of the time that you're spending on one side, because eventually you need to go to the other side and you want to balance that out as best as you can. So keeping count of your breaths is one way to measure the passing of time, or maybe you have a clock that you can keep an eye on close by, so that when you get to that point where you're ready to switch over to the other side, get yourself situated, set up, or supported the best way you can, and spending at least that much time on your other side stretch. And full, complete breaths, whatever you may be doing. Taking at least another 30 seconds or a full minute more to allow for your body to move, to stretch, to do what it most needs or wants to do in this time. We've worked in so many wonderful, mindful ways of stability and strengthening, as well as stretching and mobilizing the body. And so there's an extra bit of awareness and wisdom accessible to you throughout your body now that we want to take advantage of. And that means kind of allowing for freedom of movement to come through, feeling well supported and safe, mindful and aware. This is the best time to incorporate this powerful practice of what's sometimes called in traditional yoga, meditation in motion. So don't rush this process. Still continue to take your time with it. And yet some of you may be feeling ready to settle into a really comfortable position. And starting this mindful process of fully relaxing and letting go throughout your physical body, but also through your mind and your emotions as well. So let's start with a little bit of face activation, so we feel more of the face, and then asking it to really relax and let go when we're finished with that. So you might want to moisten your lips, making sure that they're ready for some extra stretch and movement, because we're going to go right on into a big, giant, yawning stretch for the mouth and the cheeks. So open wide, really wide. Also lift up your eyebrows and open your eyes, blinking, looking around, big, wide open mouth. And then relax. Soften the eyes, soften the jaw, soften the lips. Feel the difference. We're going to go into an opposite kind of engagement next. So this time you're going to furrow your eyebrows, pucker your nose, purse your lips, maybe even slightly clench your jaw, holding that for a few breaths. You're all kind of tensed inward with your face, puckering and clenching. And then soften. Feel the difference as everything relaxes from that engagement. And then again, you might want to lick your lips, because we're going to go back to the wide open mouth, big stretch with the cheeks, the jaw, wide open eyes, lift your eyebrows, look up, look right, look left, blink mindfully a few times, big, wide, big stretch. And soften, relax, all of that. Feel the difference. One more time, let's go into the puckering and pursing and clenching. Really hard. And then soften, relax, feel the difference. And now one more time, back to the wide open eyes, eyebrows lifted, cheeks stretched, jaw really open wide, maybe even sticking your tongue out this time, really far, big open wide stretch. And then relax and soften. And just really feel the face from the forehead, across the eyebrows, the bridge of the nose, all across the cheeks to the ears, down around the jaw, to the chin, and certainly throughout the mouth, the lips, inside the mouth, and your tongue. Let all of that really soften, relax, and let go. And as you do, tune into how your breath is flowing in this moment. Be with your breath. And say silently to yourself, as you take your next inhalation, opening up. And as you take your exhalation, letting go. Inhale, open up. Exhale, letting go. And let this be a full body experience over your next several breath cycles of opening up and letting go throughout your whole physical body. let this now be a mental exercise as well. So any thoughts in the mind, let them also, the mind opening up as you inhale, and then a real full letting go as you exhale. Let go of tension in the mental field and open up to receive and let go. And also your emotional being can receive the powerful flow of your breath with this mantra, opening up and letting go. And you might even feel as if you could take this exercise to a soul level, engaging your spiritual being, your whole being, opening up and letting go. Breathing with the universe. Stay with it for just a little bit longer. With that sweet and loving invitation to open up and let go. As always, you are welcome to stay in this practice of relaxation longer. Always give yourself permission to go deeper or stay longer whenever your being has let you know that's really what it needs. When you may also be feeling ready to re-engage with your physical body and some movements and move toward a transition that will eventually bring you into a more upright, seated position. But please take lots of time in that process. First, connect with your physical body in a positive way, all the way through the body of your fingers and your hands, your neck, maybe turning your head from side to side a few times. And then, of course, all the way through your legs, into your feet, moving your toes a bit, ankles. And then what would feel good from there? A stretch out through the limbs, the legs, the arms, the shoulders, the spine. Hugging in, stretch of some sort. Let your body decide what would feel so good as you really reconnect throughout your whole body. And don't forget your breath too, always coming along with whatever you are doing. And whether you have found your way up and into a more upright seated position, or if you've decided to stay in your more reclined and supported position for a bit longer, either way, we'll be bringing this practice officially to a close in our traditional way of connecting with the heart, connecting with the space in the center of the chest that we know is associated with all the manifestations of love. Loving kindness, compassion, joy, and of course gratitude. So whether you're resting open palms in your heart center or palms together, lining up the fingers, pointing up, and that gesture or mudra of recognition and unity. And opening up your heart just a little bit more so you can fully receive my gratitude to each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. Namaste. And a big old yippee yahoo